Hello everybody. So apologies if I sound a little different. I've gotten a very sore throat, but I just didn't have the heart to leave you guys without a video. So if it does sound different, if you hear background noises quite easily, I'm sorry. This mic is quite sensitive and I needed it to be sensitive enough for you guys to hear me nice and clear. But at the same time trying to save my voice as much as I can. So anywho, today we is going to be reading Let's Play Dr. Smiley X Listener up in here. We are currently in chapter 9, but we got to go back a chapter for the purpose of, you guessed it, that recap. So to cut this extremely short, basically this chapter goes up and down, and in the very beginning, Ashley, her friend that I say is gonna just naturally die by natural selection, survives with Wan. Eventually, the killers tell them about, like, hey, you guys are gonna have to fight Toby for 5 minutes or survive him for 5 minutes. Get your rest up because you're gonna need it. And obviously, the girls are freaked out because it's 1v1, 1v1, and they're like, oh no, that's not good at all. So, at night, they were kind of like talking about it. And then they were laying down in bed. It was nighttime, but I go to bed. When all of a sudden, came a nice knock on the door. It was Toby and Dr. Smiley. Basically, Toby made a deal with the girls that, you know, hey, if you strip down naked in front of me, you don't have to do anything, just strip down naked in front of me, I'll let you two live. I'll take it easy on you on the 1v1. Obviously, Ashley, wanting both of them to survive, did so, and making Ryan doing in the process. It was a whole mess with them. Whole fight. Took them about 1 or 2 hours to actually get fully strapped off, right? Because Toby made an excuse how he never seen a woman, la-di-da, which turned out to be a lie. Because at the very end, he's like, I'm just kidding. I've killed various naked women, la-la-di-da. I just did this to bother Dr. Smiley, because turns out he had something on Dr. Smiley that they didn't want, that he didn't want Miss Slenderman to know, which is crazy, right? I mean, that's funny. So, that's what they did. Dr. Smiley, pissed, he was like, I'm gonna get his ass right. So, eventually, skipped him next day. They went to the thing, so he kept his promise with Ashley, but he did not keep his promise with Wyan and made her fight and not unwillingly with him for over 20 minutes. She luckily survived with obviously a bit of injuries. Dr. Smiley found out, was really happy about it. And basically a lot of people are going against her, trying to get against her, trying to get her killed because she's the only one who has survived this much. So yeah, that's basically the recap. Anywho, y'all, before we get into this, let's get a hear of them warnings. Getting into these warnings, y'all, there will be mentions of stressful situations, violence, fighting, deaths, and I mean a lot of deaths, murder, a whole bunch of murder and very detailed depictions of it, kidnapping, torture, very specific depictions of torture, and just very much just unnatural stuff. This is creepypasta, y'all. I'm giving y'all the basics of the basics. Y'all know. Without trying to short circuit my voice more than it already is, let's get into the story, y'all. Y'all have been warned. We is in chapter 9. This is from the author, so I haven't finished updating a lot. Finals are coming, and again, because I'm a senior, or I am having my finals early, my government finals is this Friday, along with my art and my math and culture finals are on Thursday. I wish you luck, girlfriend. When we came back to the old mansion, that tall, faceless man was back and told us to get some rest because once it's dark, we will be doing a new round. This time, he will be the one chasing us, along with his proxies if they find us. We all have to collect 8 pages, If we collect more than 8 that will ruin someone else's chance of surviving, then we will still be killed unless we put the page back onto its original place. We have 8 if we have 8 pages though, and the proxies or him see this, then they will leave us alone so we can leave the woods. But if we have 8 pages and aren't leaving the woods and searching for more pages, they will warn us to leave, or they'll have no choice but to kill us. Of course, they also said they will blindfold us and take us to the wooded area with the pages. No one will be together as well. We will all be spread out. Now everyone actually fell asleep but me. I'm walking around the mansion just like the killers because I'm too scared to sleep, and a lot of them noticed this to the point that they would oh my god, that they would breathe down my neck to freak me out and then laugh when I squealed or jumped. I couldn't take the constant jump scares. So when I found Dr. Smiley, I followed him like a scared puppy. The whole time, I started to question why I didn't escape when I had the chance. Thank you! She's actually growing up right. Thank you. I had many chances that they thought I was dead, and yet I returned because I wanted to protect Allie from getting killed. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Today was the day I knew it. But I found out that if I was the one in danger and Allie had to decide to come back and save me or leave me, she would leave me. The reason I know this was because when we were kids, we always hanged out with each other since elementary. I was always bullied in all my school years from elementary to high school, and not once did Allie help me. She was always too scared to fight for me because she knew she would lose, and yet even though I would lose, I would still have protected her even if I had lost. She has always been a flight more than fight kind of person. Well, I'm the opposite, but I was a more fight for her than flight away from her. She, on the other hand, would always flight to protect herself and fight when she couldn't fight for herself. Weird way of putting it, but understood. All this time, I should have been thinking about myself, and yet I instead thought about her. She's like a sister to me, but I knew that if our roles were switched, she would have taken the chance to run free and not get killed. When Dr. Smiley stopped in his tracks, I bumped into his back, but I didn't pull away because I was so lost in thought I didn't even know how to react. You seem deep in thought. Is something wrong? He asked, but I knew that even if he had asked me, he still wanted me to answer without a choice. No. My voice cracked down as tears started to build up in my eyes. I've been holding back tears, and now I can't keep them down. I'm so stupid. I had many chances to escape, but I decided to come back. I pressed my face closer to his back as my tears started to spill from my eyes. Girl, guess what? He's gonna give you that I don't give a fuck face. Like, wow, 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 wow. I pressed my face closer to his back as tears started to spill from my eyes. My hands gripped onto the back of his doctor's coat tightly. I don't want to go into the woods again, let alone get chased by that tall, faceless man. Small hiccups started to leave my chest as it made my body shudder. When he started to turn around, I let go of him and covered my eyes as I tried to wipe the tears away. He grabbed both of my wrists and I looked up at him. This is all you need to know. Do not panic, because if you do, he will catch you. Do not stay in one place for too long, or you will die just like that. If you hear a slight bit of static, run, because it gets louder. Because once it gets louder, it gets more painful. If you hear footsteps, hide until you can't hear them anymore, or slowly sneak away and make sure you turn off the light, or his proxies will catch you. Toby is unpredictable, so be careful. Hold your breath. If you see Masky, he will only hear you. Hoodie seems to have a weapon on him. Seems to always have a weapon on him. So make sure he doesn't see you. Cat Hunter will torture you if he hears you. so be as quiet as possible around him. Silent crowds will be more harder to listen to along with Cat Hunter, so be careful when it comes to them. My eyes widened at his words. Why are you helping me? I asked. Because he wants to win. I thought that was obvious. My goodness. He chuckled. We all have our reasons, Ryan. Now it is your turn to try and survive. You need to stop worrying about your friend. She's only going to be the death of you. Even close friends can betray the ones they love when fear takes over. I looked down at the ground from his words. He's right, because I know that fear can make people do things that they regret in the future. Sometimes that regret can eat the person alive as well. Dr. Smiley walked off as I started to think again to myself. I didn't notice a two pair of feet walking towards me, until a hand rested on my shoulder, and I jumped. I reached fast and turned around as my fist was going towards their face until they caught it. In front of me is a guy called Hoodie. He tilted his head as he held onto my hand tightly. Oh, sorry, I got scared. I responded, and he let go of my hand. Dr. Smiley did usually... Oh my god, excuse me. Dr. Smiley did say he usually always has a weapon on him, so I want to be careful and try not to get on his bad side. You have been standing here for many hours, did you know that? He questioned me, and I looked outside to see that it was dark. Of course, I somehow didn't notice this. Oh, I said, follow me, because you are late. You will not tolerate someone being late. I nodded my head as I started to follow him. Girl, how do you not know you're standing there for hours? Whew, she must be deep in thought. Alright, anyways. As I started to follow him. When we reached the old mansion, we started to walk in the woods, and that's when I saw all the proxies all waiting for me. I swallowed hard when they walked towards me with a blindfold. You are the last one. When you hear a gunshot, take the blindfold off and find the pages before we find you. The others are already waiting to hear the gun once you are ready, and we are far from you. Muskie explained as Toby put a blindfold over my eyes. They gonna shoot you right then and then, pow. Anyways, I held my breath as one of them grabbed my arm and led me to my spotted area. Whenever they stopped, I bumped into them and they let go of me. I then felt them place two things in my hand. Try your best to not lose neither of these, the voice said. He then walked away, and when he was far enough to the point, I heard nothing. I just stood there waiting, and then I heard the gunshot. I took the blindfold off and saw a camera and a flashlight in my hand. I didn't turn the flashlight on yet because I can still see until I can't turn because I can still see y'all. Running towards the path, I looked around for the 8 pages, and luckily I saw one on a tree. Running up to it, I saw that it had black markings on it. No eyes. Always watching? That tall man can see without eyes? I grabbed the page and started to run again. I looked around me as it started to get darker outside. I turned my flashlight on and pointed it anywhere around me. I needed to make sure I listened very closely as well for the others. It's already bad enough that I already feel watched. Not long, I found an old truck and looked around. On the driver's side of the door, there is a page. Don't look or it takes you, I said to myself. These are getting creepier the more I find, and I only have 2. This time, I decided to walk, to catch my breath a little, considering I was the only one who didn't sleep, so I am tired. The bandages that cover the cuts from Toby... excuse me. The bandages that cover the cuts from Toby wrapped around my arms tightly are starting to get on my nerves. As I was walking, I heard something crunch under my feet like paper. I looked down to see another page that has "Help Me" on the front of it. A shiver went down my spine as I picked it up. That's when I heard it. The static. And I wanted to stay in one place too long, I started to run again. I turned towards the wooded area only to see something when white flashed. Not trusting this, I ran the other direction and turned off my flashlight. I waited for a while as the static went away, but the footsteps came towards my way. I also covered the camera to make sure the light didn't give me away. I turned my head, trying to see in the dark only to see a white mask looking around. He continued to walk a different direction from me, and I almost sighed in relief if it wasn't for the fact that I could have died if I didn't see the white flash from earlier. I got up from my spot when I could no longer see him as I turned my flashlight back on. That's when saw a light in the sky. Someone is pointing their flashlight up. That is what probably got him to leave me alone. Deciding to continue on without a second thought, I started to jog. And of course, I found another abandoned place, but this one looks like it can basically, it looks like I can have a bathroom. It's all white inside, so maybe. Going towards that way, I walked inside and looked around for a page, but so far I see nothing. Just as I was about to leave, I turned another corner only to scream. Why did I scream? Let's just say that I got jump scared by a chair. Man, I'm so tired that a brown wooden chair scares me now. I walked past the chair and saw a note next to it, and I smiled, picking it up. Can't run. Well, that's not creepy at all, I said. Just as I said that, a hand popped out of nowhere and clawed my arm. Oh my lord. I screamed as my bandages undid themselves from a large scratch as a large amount of blood spilled onto the floor. Oh no, it's Cat Hunter. Turning around, I started to run as I ignored my bleeding injury. Let's just say he's a lot faster than I thought because he was able to claw me again with his razor-sharp knife claws that are attached to his fingers. Like Freddy Krueger? But this time on my back. I bit back a scream as I continued to run. His footsteps are behind me, but I tried my best to escape. Of course, I did not leave the building, but doing so, I bumped into someone else. This someone else is another survivor. When they saw me, their eyes widened, but I kept running and didn't turn back. I just wished I didn't hear the blood-curdling scream behind me as I ran. Why didn't that person run away when they saw me bleeding to death? Did they freeze in fear? Probably, but for now, I need to worry about myself. My injuries are spilling a lot of blood, and if someone follows the blood, they will find me. I continued my way as I got lucky enough to find another note. Follows? Is he following me? Is that why I feel like I'm being watched? I grabbed the note as I continued to walk. My head felt as if it was getting a headache, but I tried my best to ignore it. I just need 3 more. As I went on, I had to hide a lot more and run as well. When Toby found me, he was with the tall man, so I almost didn't escape them. The static hurt me and slowed me down while Toby got a few hits on me. The hooded man had a gun and shot one of my legs, so I am now limping. That silent cross again was also hard to find. Yeah. And having him being almost everywhere, I got even more paranoid than normal. Good thing though, I found 2 more pages. One has the Slender Man in the middle as it repeats no over and over again around him, and the other one has the Slender Man in the tree area. As I continued to move, I saw a dead person on the ground and walked towards them. I flipped their body over to see their eyes wide open. Their eyes were rolled back behind their head as blood escaped her mouth, nose, eyes, and basically around her ears as well. In the middle of her neck is burned skin that shows the Slender's marking. It must have been that Dr.Smiley guy. No one really knows much about him besides the fact that he likes to burn things. Mr. Smiley, guys. Mr. Smiley. Everything else must be from Slenderman's doing of this girl's death. I looked down at her and saw a page, and I grabbed it. Leave me alone. Yeah, I wish you freaks would leave me alone as well, I mumbled as I started to head back to leave the woods. Of course, though, from all the blood loss, I collapsed as footsteps walked towards me. The person flipped me on my back, and I lied on my stomach. I groaned and saw the same guy who had that plan to kill me. In his hands is a rock. He didn't say anything as he lifted the rock up to crush my skull. When he was about to bring it down, someone pulled him off of me, and all I could hear was the screams of something killed him. I saw Masky's mask as he looked down at me. Then the other proxies had shown as well. I can't believe you were the only human who survived. That's crazy, Muskie said. I looked I looked at him with side eyes. Allie died? I questioned as my voice broke. She almost survived. She had 9 pages, but she got unlucky and bumped into Masky. Huddy answered. It's like a telenovela. Tears rolled down my face as my vision became blurry. I felt one of them pick me up. Oh, how boring. Not even another survivor made it. It would have been fun to see the reaction when going to Laughing Jack's circus or having to hide from Eyeless Jack, Toby said. I mumbled things to myself as they continued to walk back. My sweet Allie, if only I'd protected you. Ay, mi corazoncito. I'm so unserious. My sweet, sweet Allie. I closed my eyes as darkness consumed me. When I woke back up, I was in a hospital with bandages covering my body. I turned my head and expected to see Dr. Smiley, but instead I saw a woman in a doctor's coat looking at her notes. I looked around me to see that this is a normal hospital. Oh, you're finally awake. That's good. I turned my head back to her. The police are here to question you about what happened, so I'll be telling them you woke up. She left the room as soon as her heels clicked onto the floor. When she left, I was all alone again as tears fell from my eyes. Ellie, I'm so sorry. When the lady came back, 2 policemen came in as well. When they questioned me, I remember the words on not to tell what they did or they would hunt me down. So I told somewhat of the truth. I told them what they did to us and made it part of a game. But I said that they all wore masks, so we have no clue what they look like. I told them about everything else besides the white creatures eating the dead bodies. The inhuman people that could protrude string from their fingers, or the ones with non-normal eyes and can go through TVs. I didn't make it as real as possible because I refused to go in an asylum as they hunt me down and kill me off. I didn't suffer for no reason. Okay, so you were telling us that they allowed the last survivor to live on even though they knew you would tell the police? I nodded my head at the policeman. It seems to me that they are very confident enough to think that they won't get caught. Thank you for telling us this, Miss Ellen. I nodded my head as they left. I looked up at the ceiling and thought about the good things that Ali and I did. Without her, I am nothing. She made my life interesting and fun even though she got the same job as me, so we could see each other every day. Yes, she would run away even if she had the chance like me, but I knew she would regret it in the end and would probably try and save me by contacting the police. I closed my eyes as I allowed the medicine to heal my broken body. After many, many months of healing, I finally feel like a new person. The doctors offered me a free heart transplant so I no longer have those episodes of dying and coming back. Of course, my heart led to bad memories, so I took it up and now I have a new heart. I can no longer die and come back. I no longer pass out at random times. Everything is finally going my way. Okay, everything is finally going my way. Besides the fact that I have now many scars on my body and I hate looking at myself in the mirror, but at least I haven't seen them approach me. When I say approach me, I still mean I still see them walking around talking to new people who might become a part of the game that I was in. Of course, when they leave, those people, I follow the person they talk to and then would proceed to talk to them myself and tell them to stay as far away from them as possible, or they will look like me. Of course, seeing the scars on me, the people around here listened and stayed far away from the Poxies and others as far as possible. So now, they just kill people like normal murderers. No long does the game go on, but that doesn't mean they don't kill people still. The moment I am eating alone, as people walked by me, the memories of Ali and I eating together popped in my head as a smad smile formed on my lips. That's when no one was around. I was truly alone. Why do you look so sad? Put a smile on your face. I turned my head. Allie? I questioned, but no one was around. I stood up from my spot. Allie? I asked again, hoping to hear her voice again, as tears ran down my face. I looked at the ground as a dark cloud covered my head. I started to walk back home. Wyan? I looked up again. Allie? I yelled out. Wyan, over here. I heard her voice around the corner and I ran that way. Allie? I yelled out. Wyan, over here! I looked at an alleyway and without thinking, I ran that way. In front of me is a girl's back turned towards me. Allie? I asked. I missed you, Wyan. More tears fell from my eyes as I ran up to her. When she when she turned around, I didn't look at her face as I wrapped my arms around her. Oh, Allie, I missed you so much I thought you were dead, I yelled out. She placed a hand on my shoulder. My dear Wyan, I am dead. I opened my eyes as a loud gasp left my body. I'm looking at my ceiling and realized it was all a dream. Sitting up on my bed, I looked at the pictures of Allie and I when we were younger at the park. I looked down at my blanket, covering me as I covered my face with my hands. I cried and sobbed as my chest tightened from the pain. I miss you so much, Allie. Oh, wow, it's so sad. And then this is all from the author of different stories that they have written or just some other stuff, y'all, that they're writing. I'm not too sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. And for the PS, they said, I will make more sneak peeks for other future stories in the next chapter. I'm too lazy to do the rest right now. But tell me, what do you think about me making the new creepypasta story? If you want to read that, y'all can. But yeah, let's get into the next chapter. This is chapter 10. I feel like as if I'm living in a real life hell. All I keep having are nightmares of Allie screaming help for me in the woods every night. Not only that, but the other people that die always chase me in these nightmares as well. And when they get me, they drown me in a pool of their own blood. Before I die, though, Dr. Smiley is always there to save me. But when he does this, he then continues to torture me as well, strapping me on a bed and cutting my body, only to be disappointing that I got the heart surgery and then proceeds to torture me until I die. Now, at one point, I couldn't even take it anymore. I just put a jacket and some shoes. I then started to walk towards the woods. I have to get Allie's voice of pain out of my head, and hopefully this will clear my mind. Oh my goodness. That is crazy. I'm sorry. That's okay, that's crazy, girl. Heading into the woods. Oh my lord. I then started to walk towards the woods. I have to get Allie's voice of pain out of my head, and hopefully this will clear my mind. After all, they said they wouldn't bother with me anymore, so I don't fear that I will be bumping into any of them into the woods. When I stepped a foot into the woods, though, I felt a bear of eyes on me. That's scary. I looked around and saw no one. It was probably no one in the first place. I mean, from what happened to me in the woods, of course I would get a little paranoid coming back. A little. I continued to walk into the woods as I looked around. I tried to see if anything would show that happened in my dreams, but nothing happened. I then started to feel a little better about myself as I continued to walk on. See, Allie isn't alive being tortured here. She is in a better place where she will no longer suffer. Just as I said that, something hit my nose. I wiped it off and looked at my hand to see blood. I would just say nosebleed. Fear spread through my veins as I looked up to see the Fear spread through my veins as I looked up to see another survivor's head dead. Other survivors dead as they hung up on the trees. That is when my eyes landed on a rotting corpse of Allie. The first thing I did was scream as tears went down my face. My screams echoed down the woods as I backed away from the gruesome scene. As I was about to turn and run away, a hand covered my mouth as the other wrapped around my body. I screamed into their hand as I tried to struggle out of their grip. Shh, Wyan, you wouldn't want anyone else to hear you. Oh my god, I heard the one and only Dr. Smiley say into my ear. Oh god, that scares me. My breathing became fast as he pressed himself close to my back. I heard you got a different heart now. What a shame. I liked your old one better, he purred. I tried to slip up from his grasp, but he tightened his arm around me. You won't escape from me again, Wyan. I refuse to let you go now that I have you again. Let me guess, you've been having little nightmares about your friend? It seems to me that the slender hung them all up, like they are nothing but bones. It must be so heartbreaking to see your childhood friend like this. He whispered into my ear as more tears ran down my face. Would you like to know what my plan was? After all, Toby had mentioned that he wouldn't tell Slender in any way. My plan was to never allow you to escape. My plan was to keep you as my new experiment. But now that you have a normal heart, I'll just keep you as a pet. When his hand removed itself from my hand, I started to scream and beg him to leave me alone. I just want to go home. Just leave me alone. I yelled out in panic. Uh, I stopped screaming when I felt something being injected into my neck as my body slowly started to feel weak. Don't worry, dear. I have a few rules for you to follow as well when we get back to my home. Just like that, I blacked out as he picked up my whole body and started to walk to his home. So his plan this whole time was to kidnap the girl and make her stay with him forever, even though he should be leaving her alone because she won the game, Toby mumbled. I would tell Cinder, but she is the reason I lost the game, and I really don't care about her life either, so I should just stay out of it. Toby got up from the log and started to walk the opposite way from the doctor. Wow. Dr. Smiley carried you to an abandoned hospital that he found long ago. It was in good shape, and it wasn't rusty or that old, meaning it must have been closed down not long ago. He walked into the hospital as he looked around for the right room to place you in. At one point, he went to the second floor and found a clean enough hospital bed to put you in. When he placed you down, he took off your shoes and jacket and placed them next to the bed. He then tucked you in as he grabbed a handcuff around your wrist and then onto the bed. He kissed the back of your hand as a smirk spread across his face. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll get your heart back and return it back inside your body, even if you don't want it back. He let go of your limp hand as he walked out of the room. He closed and locked the door behind him as he left to go to the hospital to retrieve your heart. By the time you would wake up, he should have been back to feed you some food, and hopefully have your old heart back as well. As he walked out of the hospital, he ignored the other creepypastas that walked by. He found no use in any of them, so he works alone in everything that he does, just like a few others as well. When he made it to the hospital that gave you your new heart, he walked towards it and walked inside. He put his doctor's mask on and continued to walk in as if he worked there as well. No one suspected anything because he looked just like any other doctor to them. He walked to the area where they keep the organs and he made sure that no one was around looking. He walked in and looked around to find your heart, and luckily for him, he found your heart to be the easiest thing to find. I woke up. This is our side now. I woke up from the sunlight, and when I looked around, I saw that I was in a hospital. I sighed. Maybe it was just a nightmare and someone found me sleepwalking or something like that. When I tried to move my hands close to me, I felt a sharp pinch of something pressed against my skin. I looked at my left wrist to see that I'm chained to the bed. My eyes widened, and that's when the door opened. I looked that way to see Dr. Smiley looking at me. He smirked at the look on my face. What? No need to talk, Wan. I will explain everything to you and answer all of your questions, he said as he sat down in a chair that was next to me. Where am I? I stuttered. You are in a hospital that I found in the woods, he answered. What do you want from me? I want to keep you by my side. You have been the most interesting thing in my life, and I want to keep you until the very end. I went silent, and so did he. What are you going to do with me? He smirked at this, and I felt nervous from his reaction. I'm going to put your heart back into your chest, and I will experiment on you. I realized it would be too boring with you if you have just this normal heart, so you will be my pet and experiment. I felt my hands get sweaty at his words, but he didn't seem to react much. I made food for you, so don't try and starve yourself, or I will shove it down your throat. He stood up from the chair and left the room as he went to go retrieve the food that he had made. When he came back, there were tons of cooked foods on the plate. It was my favorite breakfast. How did he know that I liked this? Was he watching me the whole time I was free from his grasp? That's the only thing I could think of. I looked up at him as he smiled at me. Eat up. Oh, wow. Chapter 11. Dr. Smiley walked into the doctor's office with no struggle, as everyone did their own thing. No one paid any attention to him, only thinking him as a regular doctor that works there. Excuse me. Let's see here. The doctor's mask covered the wide grin from under as he continued on his way to see if they can uh to find your heart. He found out that they never threw away your heart. Instead, they kept it to see if they can prevent it from happening to another person. Too bad for them. Dr. Smiley had other plans. He wanted to place the same heart you got rid of into your body so he can keep testing you. He only cares about his own sick desires and no one else's. He doesn't care much of how you will beg him not to do it. As long as he has his way, life is amazing for him. Not just for the person who he is making suffer, and in this case it is you. Dr. Smiling stopped in front of a door as it had a key card to open the door up. He sighed in irritation, but luck seemed to be on his side as another doctor came his way. Even more lucky that this doctor is female. He smoked under the coughing mask as he walked towards her. She wasn't paying any attention as she looked down at the clipboard, reading whatever it was on it. Dr. Miley stood in front of her, and she seemed to notice as her eyes looked up at him. "Oh, hello, doctor. Do you need anything?" she asked. "Yes, I do. I forgot my key card at home. Could you be a dear and open the door for me?" When he spoke when he spoke to the female in front of him, she blushed and looked at the closed door. "Of course," she stuttered. She went to the locked door and used her key card to open it. Dr. Smiley thanked her as he walked inside. The door closed behind him as he can hear the other doctor walk away from the door, or nurse, or whatever. He looked around as he looked through the many organs to see which one belonged to you. Luckily for him, it didn't take long. He grabbed the small organ into a jar of some strange liquid and walked towards the door with it. When he opened the door, he saw no one around and continued to walk with the jar in his hands. He decided to take another exit and that if it was surrounded by people, he'll just jump out of the window. Not long, he found the exit he was looking for, and when no one was around to see him, he took the chance to go now before anyone does come and question him. If that happened, he would have to kill that person on the spot. Once he left the hospital, no one was around him to see him exit as well, at least no one from the inside. Outside of the building, a male doctor smoking saw him with a jar and looked at Dr. Smiley. "Now, why would you have that with you?" Dr. Smiley smiled at the man. Even though he can't see the smile, he can still see that his eyes lifted up in a smile-like way. "I'll be testing on this heart to see how it truly works. And if you don't believe me, you can always join me. That is, if you aren't busy." Dr. Smiley placed his hand in his pocket as he waited for the man to answer. "Will you return the heart?" The man spoke as he took a large breath in to consume more smoke from the cigarette. "Of course. But like I said, if you don't believe me, then you can always join." "Okay, I'll join you, but if we enter a house, I'll make sure to call the police for stealing an organ." The man dropped the cigarette as he crushed it under his shoe. "No need to worry. We're going to a hospital," Dr. Smiley said as he continued to walk to the woods. The man followed behind him as he kept his eyes on the strange man in front of him. He knows something's up, and he wanted to get to the bottom of it. Neither of them spoke as they walked into the woods. No police, no policia, what? Anyways, the thing is that though the insane doctor can hear a lot better than a human male, a smirk came to his lips when he heard one of the others coming. Dr. Smiley stopped in his tracks as the same did the man. "Why'd you stop?" he questioned him. "I heard something," Dr. Smiley answered as he turned his head towards the man. "What did you hear?" The crazed doctor smirked as his eye became wide with insanity. "Nothing you should worry about. It was only a rock." The man pulled off a strange look on his face, and before he could question the insane doctor, a rock came slamming itself against the man's skull as he fell to the floor. Blood started to come out of his head, but he was still breathing. In front of Dr. Smiley is Masky. The masked male is holding the rock as it dripped blood from the man's skull. "Why the fuck do you have a human heart?" The masked male questioned, and the doctor only smiled. That is none of your concern, but no need. I'll deal with the man. You can leave now, Proxy. Masky grumbled under his breath, but he still left as he dropped the rock on the floor. Dr. Smiley waited for him to be fully out of his hearing, and when he was, he grabbed the unconscious man and dragged him to where you were resting. After a long while, he made it to the abandoned hospital and walked towards your room. When he did make it to your room, you were nowhere to be seen. He sighed to himself. Of course she had found a way to escape. The crazed doctor put the jar down excuse me, on the counter, and he handcuffed the man to the bed. He made sure that this time no one can escape. Now, where could have my patient have possibly gone off to? Loud footsteps and heavy breathing is all you could hear as you held onto your bleeding wrist. You were able to pull your hand out, but it came with a lot of pain. You also made sure to clean the blood that fell onto the floor and on the handcuffs before leaving. You didn't want him to know that you were bleeding heavily from your wrist, but of course you did also have to stop the fact that your lungs felt as if they were burning. You took in deep breaths as your side started to hurt from all the running. You refused to stop when it started to hurt, and in the end, the pain only got worse. You felt as if you were going to throw up from your side pain, but you continued to walk and ignore the feeling. Your hand squeezed tightly on the bleeding area of your wrist to make it bleed slower. You didn't want the insane doctor to find large chunks of blood in the woods. That would only help him find you. The only reason why you truly escaped is because you knew Allie wouldn't want to see you give up so easily even if she was dead. So with that thought in mind, you continued on and never looked back. Y'all, this is the last chapter. Ain't that crazy? This is chapter 12. You had no clue where you were going. You didn't know if this was the right way to escape the woods or if you were going further down into the woods. Even though this thought kept playing in your mind, you didn't want to turn back out of fear he would find you. You did want your old heart in your chest. That thing was a waste and had no use to it besides giving you trouble. Sorry, she meant you didn't. Yeah, you survived that horrible game that those strange-looking murderers did, but other than that, that heart meant nothing to you. What confuses you the most is the fact that whoever survived wasn't supposed to be hunted down anymore, so why is Dr. Smiley not listening to these rules? Why is he so interested in you to the point that he wants to put your old heart back into your body? Does he want to test the heart as it is beating inside alive human bodies? That is the only reason you can actually think of that would make sense to you. You stopped in your tracks as you started to breathe heavily. You didn't know how far you ran off, but Dr. Smiley shouldn't be close to you, and if he was, then he must be the fastest bastard you have ever met. Just as you were about to walk again, you heard a twig snap. You turned your head to see no one. A sigh of relief escaped you, as you just figured it was an animal. But who when you turned your head, however, that was not the case. In front of you was the doctor himself. All you can think of is how he caught up to you so fast without you hearing him until now. There you are, YN, was all he had said to you before you began to run again. As if your energy came back. It's as if your energy came back, but you knew that it will run out soon because how fast you were running before, it was only a minute break. And with only a minute break. It didn't take long for you to become tired, and when you turned around, he was nowhere to be seen. Now this would make some people relieved, but to you, it's like not knowing where the cockroach went, and when you turned your head for 1 second, when you turned your head for 1 second, even though you didn't want to stop running, you just had to, or else you would pass out. You stopped to breathe as you looked around you. When you thought everything was fine until something hit the side of your head and you instantly passed out. When you woke up, you were tied to the hospital bed as a large pain feeling in your chest. You saw that you were strapped to many machines as they showed your heartbeat and many other things. When you turned your head again, a real doctor is tied to a chair as he looked at you with guilt. Some parts of him were covered in blood. I'm so sorry. He made me put it back in you. You knew. Well, he was talking about your old heart. You closed your eyes as tears fell down. You'll never be able to escape. The only escape you have left is death, and that will never come to you as long as that psychopath keeps you alive. Ah, it's good to see you awake, Miss Ellen. Now that you have your old heart back in your body, I no longer need him. You gave the other doctor a worried look, and he looked just as worried. Are you going to let me free? Dr. Smiley chuckled at this. No, that would be dumb of me if I did. He grabbed a needle filled with a clear fluid inside it. But because you did help me with transferring her heart back into her body, I will give you a simple death. It'll be like sleeping. The doctor in the chair struggled as Dr. Smiley grinned at him. He pressed the needle into his vein, pressed, blah, into his veins as he pushed the fluid inside his body. Not long after, the man was breathing slow as he fell limp. You looked at the crazed doctor as fear and panic showed in your eyes. Now, my dear YN, shall we begin our experiments? He purred, and you shook your head, but no matter how much you begged and screamed for him to stop, he did whatever he could to figure out how your heart always stopped and started on its own. This lasted for years, and yet he couldn't find the answer, but he never gave up, for you are his favorite patient, and that can never die. But as the years went on you slowly became nothing but a hollow shell. You looked as if you were already dead. He didn't feed you with food, but with tubes that connected with your body. This only caused you to become skinny and weak. And if you were ever given the chance to escape, you wouldn't be able to, for your body could no longer support yourself. So in the end, you wish that death will fall upon you soon. But sadly, your wish never came. Oh, wow. That is so sad. Wow. Wow. This is from the author. I know this chapter is short and it might be disappointing to you, but what I'm about to say is this is the last chapter. I'm sorry I haven't updated in a while. I really had bad writer's block, and I hope you can forgive me. Even though I have 2 Yandere stories coming out soon, I just want my creepypasta only fans to know that I still have ideas for Slenderman's Proxies ex-listener. It will not be coming out soon, though only because I wanted to make sure the story isn't something that I struggle on making chapters for. And in the future, I will most likely be making a Laughing Jack X listener as well. Am I still deciding if I want to make the reader a child or not? Oh, alrighty then. Well, y'all, just wow. Yes, this is the official last chapter, y'all. We are officially done. Yay! That is absolute bonkers of news. I'm surprised I even made it this far with reading. Y'all have no idea just how many breaks I had to take. Your girl's been drinking a lot of water. It's like a whole ocean up in me, I swear. Anywho, um, what did you guys think about the story? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you expect this ending? Did you not? Cause I expected another one, but I didn't expect this ending at all. So, you know, expect the unexpected. Anywho, guys, sadly, your girl's gotta cut this extremely short because her voice can no longer last as long as temporarily as she used to. Temporarily for now. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video though. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. I shall see y'all in the next futuristic video. I will probably be posting probably more in January than December. It has been a wrecking ball of a month. Let's just keep it those words very simply. And let's hope next year will be better, y'all. So if I don't post, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Yeah, y'all, new year, new you. I will probably be posting more shorts than ever, but I wanted to post this little video out for y'all guys before, the year ended and whatnot. Yay. Anywho, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support you've been giving me and the patience you've had with me. Love you guys. Thank you so much. And if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. I probably won't be reaching them for a little bit because I want to get those old requests actually fulfilled. It's just been a roller coaster for me, so I've not been able to catch up with requests, but I promise you I will. Anywho, guys, I do appreciate y'all so much. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye and peace.